Talking about Microsoft Surface PCs and which one is right for you. Ed Bott here with ZDNet has broken all of this down for us. And Ed, certainly this is a brand that most people are familiar with.
Right. So the Microsoft Surface brand has been around since 2012. It's been roughly 8 years. The very first one was the Surface RT, which, Microsoft wound up writing off $900 million in losses for that one. They were trying to compete with the iPad, and it just didn't succeed. So then they sort of switched gears, and they came out with the Surface Pro, and then the Surface Pro 2, and those were sort of interesting, but they were sort of clunky and weird also. But then came the Surface Pro 3, and that's where they finally got the form factor right. It's a real PC, but it also can act like a tablet. And that was in 2014, so that was 7 years ago, and they finally got it right there. And since that time, they've been both iterating on the Surface Pro. So we're up to the Surface Pro 7 now, but they've also been adding members to the family. And there are now 6 different portable PCs in the Microsoft Surface lineup. So that's where I decided it was really important to help people break down what those different families are and which need, depending on what someone's needs are and what their preferences are, which one should they choose if they're interested in a Surface PC.
All right, lots of options, Ed. I know you have some of them there actually with you today to show to us. So just take it away.
Well, let's talk about the Surface Pro first, because that's the granddaddy of the family. It's it's a really distinctive design here. It's as you can tell from the way I'm holding it, it's super light. This is the Surface Pro 7. It's weighs 1,100 grams, which is with the type cover, which is about 2.4 pounds. And the distinctive thing about this, there's 2 distinctive things about it. First of all, there's the kickstand, right? And so the kickstand comes out like this, and it infinitely adjusts. So you can use this on your desktop. You can set it up to lean back on your desktop, and you can lean it all the way back like this if you want to sketch on it, and you can lean it all the way like this if you want it on your knees while you're sitting on the couch or something. The second distinctive feature of the Surface Pro line is the type cover, and it magnetically attaches and detaches. It's got a full-size illuminated keyboard on it, not lit up right now because it's not powered up, but it clicks in. You heard that click sound there, and now it's attached. So when you use it like this, it's a regular PC. There's the keyboard, there's the screen, and kickstand in the back. So that's the Surface Pro 7. Like I said, it's very light. It also supports the use of Surface Pen, right? Which you can use to sketch. You can use it to draw, to annotate on Word documents or PDFs or something like that, and it magnetically attaches to the side of the PC there. If you do the right side there, it magnetically attaches so that you're not going to lose it. That's the Surface Pro. Very attractive, but also still kind of quirky. Now, recently, I'd say about 3 years ago, Microsoft came out with a new model called the Surface Go. They had the Surface Go, and now they're on the Surface Go 2. And if you look, you'll see that it's similar in design. It's also got a kickstand, right? And it also has a type cover that clicks in and clicks out. But the difference is, let's compare these 2 side by side. And here, I'll just put one right over the other, and you can really get a sense for the difference between them. Okay, that's, the Surface Go 2 is tiny. It's got a tiny tablet, a tinier type cover, and a tiny price tag on it. This one weighs a lot less. It's 791 grams with the type cover. That's 1.75 pounds. But it uses the same kind of peripherals, the same Surface Connect powering charger as the bigger ones. And so you can use it with, you could use this with a docking station. So if you want a super lightweight PC, it also has LTE options in it. So really mobile, really light, really inexpensive. I don't recommend the base model, which only has 4 gigs of RAM in it and 64 gigs of storage. It's a little underpowered, but you step up from there, you still have an inexpensive PC that can function quite well as a desktop PC. And in fact, because of its smaller size, it's really great for kids. So it's this would be a great family PC. You hook it up to a docking station. You could use it as a regular family PC, but you can also give it to the kids, and it's practically indestructible. And then finally, the one member of the Surface family that I don't have here is the Surface Pro X. And that one it's similar in design to the Surface Pro, but it's a little bit larger, actually larger in screen size. It uses a slightly different type cover configuration, even though it's still full size. And it has a different shape of pen that fits inside the type cover. But the big difference with the Surface Pro X is that it has an ARM processor inside. And that causes some definite compatibility issues with this thing. So it's, Surface Pro X right now is an interesting device, but I don't recommend it for people unless you're just an absolute fanatic about the Surface family and you want an ARM powered device and you're willing to wait for Microsoft to upgrade Windows for ARM so that it supports a broader array of applications. Anyway, that's those are the kickstand equipped Surface models, and those have a real love-hate relationship with people. My colleague Mary Jo Foley likes to talk about lappability, and when you put that kickstand out, some people find that it's really awkward to keep this in your lap, and so they say, nope, I don't want a Surface Pro, I don't want the kickstand, give me something else.
Personally, I love the kickstand, but what about those that aren't such a big fan of those, Ed?
Well, so the other 3 members of the family have a more traditional keyboard that's in a solid base. So you flip it open, it's what they call a clamshell form factor. You flip it open and it's got a nice solid base and a nice solid top, and you can, the hinge goes back and forth, and you can get it to the right angle, and you can get it so that it just sits in your lap or sits on the table in front of you, and you don't have to worry about the kickstand. If you're on an airplane tray table, you don't have to worry about the kickstand falling off the back of the tray table and stuff. So let's start with the real heavyweight of the family, and I'm kind of groaning a little bit because this one really is heavy, and this isn't even the heaviest of the bunch, but this is the Surface Book. Okay, and it's as you can see, it's it's a beautiful device, platinum finish. It's got a solid keyboard base here. This is the 13.5-inch model. This is the Surface Book 2. The Surface Book 3 is out now, but the form factor really hasn't changed at all. Same deal with the pen over here that magnetically attaches to the side. You just clip it on there and it stays there. I'll get it out of the way for now. The thing that's interesting about this one, though, is that it does have a detachable display. So I press this little button here and it illuminates. And in just a second here, it'll tell me that I can take this off. And there. So now I've got a tablet, and I can take that pen and I can write on it, or I can click, and then the keyboard base here, I can just set it aside. But the interesting thing is here, there's a battery in each one of these pieces. So you get a small battery in the tablet part and a bigger battery in the base part. So between the two of them, they give you pretty good battery life. Much better than the Surface Pro 7. So this is the Surface to choose if you like the Surface brand. You're not bothered by the weight of it, and in fact, you want that extra battery life and you want the extra power, because you can really configure this one to go all the way up to 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 2 terabyte SSD. Now that's going to cost you around $3,400, but for the US model, but you're going to have a full powered PC. It also has in the 15-inch models the option for an NVIDIA discrete graphics processing unit, a GPU in it. And so for people who are doing things like processing videos or editing photos, this is a full no compromises PC that can still turn into a tablet when you want it to. All you have to do is press that button and detach the screen. If you don't want to pay that much, or you don't want to carry that much weight, then there's two sort of traditional laptop models in the Surface line. One is the Surface Laptop. Now, Microsoft just came out with the Surface Laptop 4 yesterday, and as you can see here, I've got this is the Surface Laptop 2, but it's and ding. It's going to ding at me here. The display does not detach on it. This is a traditional laptop form factor. And it's got, this one has the Alcantara. It's a nice, smooth sort of fabric cover for the keyboard here, but very nice feel to it. Very well balanced. This is a 13-inch display, not too heavy. You can configure this one all the way up to 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of solid state storage, and it's $2,400, which is $1,000 less than the Surface Book. This also comes in 15-inch models with AMD processors, and those are good for people who like gaming. You have a discrete graphics processor if you want to do gaming things, but that's sort of the traditional Surface laptop there. And then there's the one that Microsoft came out with last year that I think is sort of most intriguing of all. This is called the Surface Laptop Go. Now, you might have noticed there was the Surface Go before, which is the downsized version of the Surface Pro. The Surface Laptop Go is the downsized version of the Surface Laptop. So it's a little smaller. It's a lot less expensive. It's a bit thicker, but it's not too small. That's a 10.5-inch display there. Doesn't have the fancy fabric cover there. It's metal. Does not have an illuminated keyboard. Does not have the Windows Hello facial recognition that all of the other models have there. Instead, it has on all but the base model, it has a fingerprint reader that's integrated into the power button there. So you get your biometric ID there. But this is the Surface for people who say, I want a traditional laptop. I don't want to pay too much. And I want it to be smaller, but not too small. So this is sort of the Goldilocks version of things. And you can really get this at a fairly reasonable price. But again, this is one where I recommend against the base configuration, because again, it's only 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, which might be adequate. But these days, just bump it up to 8 gigabytes and it will last longer. It will not strain under any workloads, and you'll just be happier with it in the long run. But that's it. Those are the members of the Surface family that are the portable PCs. Of course, there are still other members of the Surface family. There are keyboards and mice. There's the Surface Studio, which is a desktop PC. There's the Surface Hub, which goes in corporate conference rooms and is a PC that's got a giant screen attached to it for big conference call meetings and such. And then there's the Surface Duo, which is the dual screen phone that Microsoft did. So, this is a $2 billion per quarter business for Microsoft. It's definitely not small change. So, they're going to be around for a while, and they're building some pretty cool products. And I hope if someone's interested in them, go and take a look and see which one's right for you.
Lots of great options there, Ed, for people, that can address the quirky little things that bother them about some PCs and things they like about others.
Yeah, exactly. And they keep coming out with they keep coming out with some new variation every year. So the family just keeps growing larger. But there's a logic to it all.
Certainly is. All right, Edbot, as always, we appreciate you being here with us today. And for much more on Ed's lists and everything you need to know about the different Surface PCs, make sure you check that out on ZDNet. Thanks for watching.